Alright, so for obvious reasons, there will be spoilers ahead for the Jade Shadows Constellations quest. You've been warned. Okay, so I know it's been a while since we've done a Warframe Newbies, and sorry about that, but I do want to get back in the habit of it. So today we're going to talk about Sirius, and, well, here he is. Wait, who the heck is that? I mean, I know it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, but I haven't missed anybody as far as collecting them goes, so... Yeah, oh... Yeah? Okay, hang on. Just got information in. They are the same person. What? Keep reading? Alright. They are the Stalker's son. That raises more questions than answers, if I'm being honest. Oh, other side of the... Okay. Other side. Let's see. They are an eternalized version of the same person. They're based on the name that the Stalker gave them when they were a baby. Okay, well, I mean, that explains that, but how are they adults already? They're from the future. Okay. Alright, I guess we'll just roll with it. Anyways, let's talk about these two. This one? I don't know, let's just talk about it. So as for acquiring Sirius and Orion, well, you get them from the new Uranus Proxima missions. And they are a random drop at the end of the mission, along with their weapons and few arcanes, but yeah. You can also buy them with the tokens you get from those missions from Hunhow if you're having absolutely no luck getting their parts. However, I will say you do get them pretty quick, in all honesty, so you probably won't need to use the forgiveness system for that. Matter of fact, I would advise not, because of how expensive they are token-wise. As for base stats on a level 30 Sirius, you're looking at 575 health, 455 shields, 160 armor, 250 energy, and 1.15 sprint speed. As for base stats on a level 30 Orion, you're looking at 450 health, 370 shields, 300 armor, 250 energy, and 1.15 sprint speed. As for their passive, well, fortunately they have the same one, but buckle in because the rest of their abilities are different from each other, so it's going to be a lot. But anyways, their passive is swapping between them grants 45% ability efficiency for the next two ability casts. And when you're below 50 energy, they will steal energy from each other. Honestly, I quite like this passive, particularly the ability efficiency thing, because the way these two are made, they're designed to bounce between the two, so you'll pretty much always have that efficiency bonus, which is quite nice. Alright, another thing of note before we really get into it is tap casting each of their abilities does their ability, while hold casting their ability does swap to the other frame and then cast that ability. Which, if I'm being honest, is kind of how I wish Equinox worked. But anyways, Sirius's first ability is Coronal Ejection, and what that is you throw his scythe as hard as he possibly can, dealing heat damage while collecting pickups in his path. Now, it's okay, but I will say where it really shines is Orion's third ability, which we'll get into later on, but remember this ability when we get there. As for Orion's first ability, he has Gravitic Slash, I think I said that right, but anyways, repel enemies with his scythe, dealing slash damage and status while reducing shields and armor. While he doesn't throw it, he only sweeps in front of him, so it has less range. I do actually prefer this over Sirius's scythe, mainly because of the armor and shield reduction. It's actually kind of nice. But anyways, this also interacts interestingly with Orion's third ability, which, again, keep this in the back of your mind until we get there, because it does matter. So as for Sirius's second ability, well, I don't know if you've played Dark Souls or Elden Ring, but if you have, it's pretty much Carian Phalanx from Elden Ring or Homing Crystal Soul Mass from Dark Souls. Memes aside, he summons a bunch of light motes above him that will slowly regenerate over time, and attacking enemies will launch the motes, causing heat damage and status to said enemies. It actually has a pretty generous duration up front, and the damage honestly isn't terrible, considering the fact that it's very much so a set and forget ability. But it's also not something I would heavily rely on, it's just kind of a nice bonus. Orion's second ability is Astral Shell, and what that is he envelops himself in a shell, and when he takes damage, the shell becomes a decoy that draws fire until it's destroyed. When it is destroyed, it does detonate and deal blast damage to enemies around it. But in all honesty, I do kind of like it. It kind of feels like what I wanted Saren's Molt to be in the first place, if that makes any sense. As for Sirius's third ability, he has Light Sanctuary, which is he creates a well of light that heals and revives allies while reducing incoming damage. The well does slowly grow in power and in size. Honestly, this thing is pretty great. I love it. The revive does have a cooldown, which is much longer than its base duration. But to be fair, it is an auto-revive, so it's not necessarily a bad thing on that front, but the healing alone, along with the damage reduction, is not bad by any measure. I do like this ability a lot. As for Orion's third ability, well, that is Event Horizon, and I really don't know how to say this other than you just kind of throw a black hole. But anyways, the black hole just kind of drifts in a direction, and now, remember how I said the first abilities would come into play again? This is why. Because you can use the first abilities to actually direct the black hole. Sirius's first ability will pull it back to him, and Orion's first ability will send it away again. Using either does actually increase its duration again, which is quite nice. I'm not sure if there's a limit on how many times you can extend its duration by guiding it. I've never really bothered to find out, but I have directed it quite a lot, because I'll, send it down hallways and stuff to kind of keep it going a little bit. Now, as for what the black hole itself does, because I just realized I haven't really talked about that, it kind of just sucks enemies into it and keeps them flying around it for a bit. So, it's kind of... it's like larva, but it moves. Now for the fourth ability, and that is Celestial Clash. Now, definitely one of the more interesting fourth abilities in the game, but it is actually pretty powerful. But before you actually launch the attack, you want to generate constellation stars by using abilities between the two of them. No more than 2 stars of the same frame can be added in a row, so you gotta bounce between Sirius and Orion, which honestly you're already gonna be doing anyway, so not really a big deal there. But while you're in the air with Celestial Clash, each attack does remove a star, and if you do the attacks in the order of the stars that you have, it actually massively increases the critical chance and damage. And you can get some, seriously scary damage, as I'm sure you're seeing on screen right now. So as for my build, well, this segment's gonna be fun, isn't it? Let's start with Sirius, since we've been talking about him first and everything else, for consistency's sake. I went with Growing Power in the Aura slot, and as a heads up, if you go to do the same, only put it on one of them, because it does actually work for both of them, which is kinda nice. For survivability, I went with Adaptation and Archon Vitality, because he does a lot of heat damage, so the extra heat procs are nice. I went with Arcane Bellicose, because I have over 1,000 health, so I might as well. And, yeah, I went with a pretty sizable amount of range, as you can probably see with Overextended and Stretch there. And I went with Blind Rage, because, well, I get the efficiency from their passive, so I don't really have to worry about that so much. And, yeah. As for Archon Shards, I went with 2 Tau Forged Strength, because honestly, Orion needs the extra help anyway, because I tanked his strength to get crazy range as well. So as for my Orion build, well, I went with Brief Respite in the Aura slot, because I couldn't really think of anything else to put there, in all honesty. Aside from that, it's a very similar build to the Sirius build. Pretty much identical, in fact. But it does have slightly less strength because he has less health. But seems to work anyway, as I will show here. So how do they perform for Deviri? Well, it's about what you'd expect. They're not bad. They do survive pretty good, and they do dole out damage with that fourth ability of theirs. But there does come a point where their other abilities just aren't cutting it, really, other than Sirius's third ability keeping you alive. As for Archimedia, well, I regret to say that I haven't gotten the chance to play with them in Archimedia yet, mainly because they haven't been in rotation for me just yet. And I know I could technically play them even if they're out of rotation, but, I don't know, I kind of would prefer it if they were, mainly because I don't want to run the mission twice, and I really don't want to sacrifice rewards to do it. But anyways, if I had to guess, I wouldn't be mad about seeing them in rotation, but they definitely wouldn't be my first grab by any measure. They do have a surprising amount of survivability, but I have gone down quite a few times with the higher levels of Viri with them. So, I don't know. It's one of those we'll wait and see things. So closing thoughts on Sirius and Orion. Well, they're definitely not my favorite to come out in recent years, but they're not bad. They're definitely one I'd see myself playing only every once in a rare while. Definitely not one that I'd go out of my way to, play all the time. Unlike Uriel, which, man, I wish I did a video on. I've been debating going back and doing it, so honestly, let me know what you guys think of me going back and doing some of the ones I've missed. Because I wouldn't mind going back and covering them if you want, but only if you guys want to see that. But, yeah, again, they're not bad. Definitely not a top pick for me. I know I'm a little biased because I was an Equinox main for a long time, and this kind of does the whole hot swap thing so much better than she does. And I really wish that they would have put this energy into her as far as that goes, for like a rework or something. I don't know. Again, biased on that. Sorry. But again, they're not bad. I genuinely think you might have fun playing around with them, but they're also not something that I would say is perfect by any measure. But, oh yeah, if you're curious, the baby name I picked was Orion, because in my opinion it was the cooler name. Didn't realize it would have down the road consequences, but here we are. I mean, fortunately you can just switch whatever the starting kit is, so it really doesn't matter. But anyways, that's it. Thank you all for watching, get plenty of water, have a good one.